What's up everybody? In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to install caster camber plates on your Fox Body Mustang. So let's get right into it. Alright, so in this video we're going to be using Maximum Motorsports caster camber plates. There's a bunch of different kinds, but this is going to be specific to the Maximum Motorsports one. Alright, so this is what comes with a kit, and you get two sets of this, one for each side. So you come with the main retaining plate, you have the bearing, and then you have the other piece of the caster camber plate, the studs, and then you have a new bump stop, and then all the hardware that goes in with it. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take your brake caliper off and then hang it off to the side. So all that is it's gonna change for years. I have a 86 Mustang, so I have a different spindle and a different bolts than, let's say, an 87 to 93. So I'm gonna be using an Allen wrench, and we'll pop these guys right off, and I got my trusty wire to hang it right on one of these Camber bolts. Just not too simple. Next step would be getting your tie rod in off so we can actually move the knuckle around and make our lives easier so we don't bust our knuckles on it. So it'll have a cotter pin and then an 18mm bolt. So I'll pull the cotter pin out. There we go. Might be snug. Alright, so we set that out of the way. Then this usually doesn't come out, so we're gonna have to take some kind of hammer or a hand axe in my case, and if you hit it a couple times, it comes out. And if it doesn't come out after hitting it, spray some penetrating oil in there and it should pop out. Sometimes you gotta heat it up with your trusty old torch and heat up the knuckle and then smack on it and it'll pop out. That's what I had to do, and I didn't think I'd have to, but I did. So there you go. There you go. Okay, so now we can move this thing freely. We want to get these nuts off, but before we do that, we want to jack up underneath the spring perch so the spring doesn't drop down and smack us in the face, because I like my face. Pressure under there so it doesn't come and smack you. All right, and now we can take these off. So the nut is a 24 and the backside is a... Earlier I tried to do this without an impact and it wasn't fun, so we're gonna do it with an impact. So when in doubt, impact it out. Alright, and so for my car, and I think for most, you can't get to this nut, so you're gonna have to hold on to the nut with your wrench and then impact it from the other side. It's a 21mm. So now, take the bolts out. There we go, just like that. All right, so now that we're all disassembled down here, we can move up to the top and start taking that apart. The first order of business will be to be getting the strut out. So all you gotta do is take the strut bolt off, and for me, there's a little 10mm on the top to hold the shaft from moving around while you spin the nut, and then the 24 for the actual bolt. Ooh. And then make sure you're holding it from the bottom. Pop this bad boy out. Voila, we got our strut out. So we're gonna be taking off the boot, and don't lose this big old spacer. It popped out on me and I dropped it right on my car. So take that out, and then the boot, and then you can get rid of your bump stop as well, because Maximum Motorsports gives you a bump stop. All right, and so continuing on, we can take this off and this off as well, and set that off to the side. There's a rivet right there. So you might have it, you might not. I didn't have this rivet on the other side, but on this side I did have the rivet. And so we're gonna have to drill that out so we can actually take the original caster camber plate out. All right, so that's an 18mm bolt for all of these. And I found out earlier that they're really hard to get off with just your physical strength. That bad boy is out, and this, I can hopefully pry it out. Yeah, there you go. Alright, so one of the things I want to do is actually clean this up and just spray some paint on it. I have some color match. See, it's pretty awful. It's been worn down a lot. So I'm gonna actually sand this down with a scuff pad and then spray it real quick. Depending on if you want to do that or not, you could skip this step. Okay, so while I'm letting that dry, I can take the dust boot apart and then put everything else together. First order of business. So you have your dust boot and you got this big fat rubber thing on the top of it. So what you want to do is clip it and then pull this rubber thing off. I'm strong. Okay, so now that that's out, get rid of it. So here is the dust boot that Maximum Motorsports gives you. What you want to do is actually shove it into the top of the dust boot with the cone part facing up. So this is the other hard part. On the other side, it was a pain in the butt to get this thing to pop in, and it looks like it's gonna be the same on this. Yeah. All right, now it'll just go right in, just like so. And now you want to zip tie it on, and they didn't send me zip ties. I heard you're supposed to get zip ties, and it's a big long run, so I'm gonna double zip tie it. It should be fine. So right where that metal clamp used to go, we're gonna zip tie this on. That's ready to go. So what we can do is actually put this on the strut now. Remember, cone goes up, and just slide it right on in. Sometimes it takes some finesse. And there it is, it's on, out of the way, so we can work. Now, we can assemble the retaining plates. And so these are side specific. These are not side specific, but these actual black plates are. And so I'll tell you what the numbers are right now. So the driver's side should have CO12 stamped at the bottom. And there we go. There it says CO12A right there. So we should be good to go. So this goes on the bottom like this. And you want the Maximum Motorsports on the bearing to be facing the front of the car. So this is going to be sitting on the car like that. Bearing is going to want to sit in just like this. And a quick tip is put this together first. With all our hardware, we're going to take the two little nuts, or nylock nuts, and put the two spacers on them. Not spacers, these are washers. Two washers on it. Pop those on. And they're 14 millimeter. What I'm gonna do is tighten these down right in the center, and so this thing isn't moving all around when I'm trying to put it together. Alright, so that it's not tight, but it's snug enough to where this thing isn't gonna be trying to ruin my life while I'm putting it on the car. Now we have this, and we're going to test fit it in the slot and make sure it can move freely inside of the slots that is already drilled into our strut towers. So this thing is now dry enough. If you're doing it, you probably won't have to wait, but it does look way better. So now we're gonna take this bracket with the studs on it and lift it up on through and see if it's nice and smooth or not, which it probably won't be. Yep, it's not. So it's all the way through, and you can see that does not spin freely. And so what I gotta do is take a file and file down this front edge, because that's where I can already see it's binding. Oh God. Yeah, that's not very free at all. Money. And that's it. Just like that. So now that we got this on there, we can take that black plate and put it on top. So remember, the letter's face down, and we already installed the bearing, so all we gotta do is just set it up on there and be done with it. But first, gotta put some washers on there. Maximum Motorsports gave us 6 washers and then 3 half-inch spacers. So we gotta do it in their correct orientation. So first, each stud gets a washer, and then a spacer, and then the camber plate goes on it, and then another washer, and then the nuts. just like that. We're not gonna tighten it down all the way yet because we still want to be able to move this thing around so we can stick our strut in. So let's grab our strut and push it up on in there. So I got the strut, and you're probably wondering why there's a bunch of hardware left in your kit. And so you have these 0.24 inch spacers, and then these I don't know, there's like a medium spacer and a big spacer and a little spacer. I think that's the easiest way. So the little spacer goes on first, and then the big spacer goes on. And now we can shove it up on through the hole. All right, and so now from up top, little spacer, big spacer, and then our retaining nut. How I found to do this better is actually hooking the strut back up to the knuckle down below and then tightening this up top. And that seemed to work better for me. All right. So now we can go back up top and tighten all that stuff down. Okay, so my first order of business is putting everything in the middle. That's kind of where I want it all to live for now, and later on, when the alignment guy aligns it, he can put it in the right spot, but I just like it in the middle. So I'm just gonna snug everything down. I'm gonna tighten this and actually torque the strut bolt all together. Okay, that's tightened all the way down. So Maximum Motorsport says do not over tighten these. So 65 foot-pounds on the big ones, which are 19 mil, and then 32 on the little ones. All right, so they're all torqued down, and that's good. So let's put the rest of the car back together. Tightening and torquing down these spindle bolts. So in the manual it says anywhere from 150 to 200 foot-pounds, or 140 to 200 foot-pounds. So now we can take the pressure off of the jack and put our tie rod in back on, and we're going to torque that to 47 foot-pounds. That is a 19 millimeter as well. There we go. There we go. Good. Loose down. And you could just repeat these same steps for the other side, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So after you get these things installed, make sure you head on over to the alignment shop because it's gonna be whacked out. Your steering wheel is probably not gonna be steering right at all, and the car's gonna be drifting one way or the other, most likely. So make sure you go to the alignment shop. But that's how you install caster camber plates on your Fox Body Mustang. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you wanna see more how-to videos about the Fox Body, click that box over there and there'll be a bunch of videos on just different things for the Fox Body Mustang. So on that, I'll catch you guys on the next video.